anyone who's got doubts, who thinks there are questions that aren't being answered, they are being answered, and we're answering in whatever way we can. A great document to go and connect with is the one that Martin put up on Examination Plan, because many of the things I've mentioned are actually in that plan already. There are going to be people who say we communicate too little, there will be people who say we communicate too much. But at the end of the day, if we know where to go to get that information and we continue to improve the ways that we do that, I know that one of those themes of today can be, okay, how do we get the communication out? And we're not just looking to get the communication out to the 2,000 to 3,000 people that currently we have touched the lives of. We're getting out to the hundreds of thousands. And we don't have to wait long for the hundreds of thousands. More people have actually taken the Wealth Dynamics test in the last 5 months than we have had in members in the entire 7 years. Right? The actual speed of the way we're touching and connecting with people around the world is already dramatic. It's just that we tend to look at one little subset of that as opposed to looking at the whole. So I absolutely agree with what Bay is saying. It's not so much about the caterpillar, it is about the butterfly and where that butterfly is going to fly. So what I love to do right now is just to share and paint a picture with the second part together with 2 diagrams which I hope will be really useful in the way that you can see things, that everything that we can achieve and the amazing things that the team and each one of you is currently doing with the others who aren't even in this room, who are active out there, that what is the vision that we're actually creating towards. We talk a lot about circles. We talk about what the structure of circles. For me, that's a little bit about talking about the circle in our body, the cell, and thinking that by understanding the cell, we'll understand the body. Yes, the DNA of the whole body is in the cell. But what I'd like to share right now is not the cell, I'd like to share the body. Why would we even get together in a circle to create that body? 50,000 or 50 trillion cells in our body get along harmoniously in a way that 6 billion people on this planet haven't yet figured out how to. So what is it that they have figured out that we haven't yet figured out? I would suggest it comes down to one thing and one thing only, which is a word called separation. The illusion that we're separate. The quote by which the second part is based on is, there is already enough. There's no need to be separate because there's already enough for everybody. We don't have to fight over limited resources. Those days are gone. The only way you can have limited resources is you're landlocked, or that you basically have got to find it from other parts of the planet, but we're now working as one planetary generation, which means there cannot be a limit on the resources other than the ones that we choose to use up for ourselves. There's already enough. And the difference of a resource and a source is something by which the minute you take it, it goes away, as opposed to a resource where the minute you share it, it grows. I could look at this table here and I can say this table is not a resource. My mother would tell me that the coffee table is not a resource to put on the fire if you need some warmth, because the minute you do that, you have no more coffee table. So what happens is when we're cold, we go out to get more wood, we don't go and use the coffee table. What happens, we look at the home and we say, what is it we still need here that we don't want to just burn or chop up because it's something that's going to help us today, but actually we get affected in the long term. And we say that is not a resource. So there are things within our planet right now which are not resources that we are treating like resources, like we can just chop them up and then it's okay, when in fact they're now gone. However, something like an idea is a true resource. The minute you share it, it grows in size. Knowledge, opportunities, success stories, these are the things that we share within XL Nation, and those are the things that allow us to connect infinitely with everyone else around us as well. And the body works in exactly the same way, because everything that it uses, it can regenerate. And we can do exactly that same thing by actually treating ourselves as one global community of entrepreneurs who are go-givers instead of go-getters. What would it look like? Here's my vision. That if, even in a couple of years' time, I had come out of university and I thought I wanted to start a business, I would come across a group and they would be meeting up and they would say, well, what are you looking for? What do you want to start up? I don't know what I would start up. Well, that means you need more knowledge. Well, what do you want to create? I don't know. I don't know how to make it happen. Well, here's some success stories. That I could actually turn on my smartphone and this would give me, every one of us, a window into another world. That world is XL Nation. It's a world by which I could actually say, well, if you're looking for something which is going to be in the environmental side, what kind of purpose would you look for? Because I can show you, and by the way, these 5 that are here, well, this one here is actually already being supported by, in this way, by these different people. Now, when you actually decide, well, that means that I've got no excuse for not choosing one. Or I really don't know how to start my business up. I don't know how to find an accountant. Well, where are you living? Because we can actually find an accountant for you, and here they are, and they know they're part of XL Nation straight away. They'll help you, vice versa. All of a sudden, you take away the illusion of limited resource. The minute you can get to your opportunities, you can get to your successes, you can get to all the stories, the measures, and you go, here's a place of belonging. Not the same as a country, which is a place of belonging based on place. This is a place of belonging based on purpose. Because we all have that same common purpose to support each other and connect. You can go out to someone in a well in India, and they're thinking, I I've got people here to help build the well, but I don't know what's the best way to build the well. And am I going to need money for it? I really don't know. So, well, here's the circle that's actually talking all about irrigation in India, and look, they've got 5 or 6 ways that they're talking about doing it right now. In fact, there's one that's down the road, and here's how much it costs, and it's microfinancing you can get if you want it. Oh, we don't need the microfinancing, we've got that kind of money, that's not a problem, we'll just sell a bit more. But now that we know that, we've got the opportunity, and we've got the people together, we've got the know-how, let's go ahead and do it. Well, all right, well, you can join this and you can do that if you want, but there's one condition. You've got to put the success story online once it's done. And then all of a sudden we start to share that as well. If I woke up every day, if you woke up every day with a window to all the opportunity and resources you can need, coming from a trusted base, how would that change your thinking when you wake up in the morning of what's actually possible? How would you start to think the minute you have another block? I don't know the answer to that. Well, maybe there's something on there, and you think, well, maybe something about relationships. That's the problem, because I'm really having a problem with my wife right now. I wonder what's going on in explanation on that. Oh, there's a relationship video. Martin Jimmy. Oh, interesting. We're having a look at this. Why would you look at Martin Jimmy? Because more people are looking at that than anyone else. So then you would say, of course, skeptics would say, critics would say, yeah, the internet does that already. So I'm going to share with you the first diagram. This first diagram is the distinct difference between something which is giving and something which is getting. And why is it that many of us can go to now the vastest store of information in the world, called the internet, or the vastest store of news in the world, which is called CNN or BBC, and we somehow come away from them with a lesser experience sometimes than we got there, with more confusion than when we got there, with no more depression than we got there. Why is that possible if in fact we're looking for things that are adding to our lives? And why is it that this one always creates connection and this one always creates disconnection?